Hi guys, welcome back to Not Another Budget. I'm Nicole, and on this channel I am getting out of debt as much as I can and getting financially stable because I've put myself in a rather large hole. There's a bit of prepping because I know a few of you have found me through my most recent prepping videos, and there's also something which I'm partaking in called Organised October, and that is going to, I guess, be part of a series, and this is the first video in that. Now the light's going to be a little bit funny. I've got great natural lighting when the sun is out, but it is causing some reflection, so just bear with me for that one there. Like, you can see the page and that's fine, it's just my hands. I've had another spike in subscribers, so thank you so much. Welcome to anyone who is new. Thanks for joining in the journey and let's enjoy the ride together. And anyone who's coming back to see me again, hello. I just wanted to give you guys an update and do a video which full transparency, I recorded this last night. There was no audio. I don't know what happened, but it was a 34-minute video, and when I went to listen back and check for just quality and things, there was no audio and I'd done the maths wrong. So I've already highlighted and put in things where I was working on this set of pages. But you know, it's fine. We go again. I have coffee. I have slept because last night I was also sleep deprived when I wrote it and filmed it and got very bad maths, basically. But thank you so much for watching. Comment status. I have started to be able to catch up on comments. I spent a little bit of time last night and a little bit of time this morning. Some of the comments I can respond to quite quickly. Some of them need a little bit more time, so I'm just trying to go through them as much as possible, because if you've asked for questions or you've put time into a really detailed comment, I want to give the same back if I can. Some things I won't be able to answer because it does involve an element of personal information that I just don't want to share. So yeah, so we're getting there on comments. I am this is Not Another Budget and I'm catching up on comments. That's the status so far. Now, Organised October is a challenge that is taking place over on Instagram, and it was created by the lovely, I don't know whether this is Lau or Lou, but I'm going to say Lou Savvy Saving Mama, and the hashtag is Organised Oct 2022. I will put all of that down in the description below for anyone that does want to take part. You set your own intentions, and it's looking at every aspect of your life that you want to organise in the month of October. You can look at what you really want to focus on, and I did give mine out in the last video, so I won't re-go over them. But as part of Organised October, one of the things is sticking to the blinking budget and having 20 no spend days. Now, September was the very first month that I committed to not only recording my budgeting journey, but also actually trying to stick to a budgeting method. And I felt like in order to reflect on September and how it went and use it to apply to October before I get any deeper into the month, because although it's the first week, I have had some slip-ups already, I felt like the best thing to do would be to total up all of my income and all of my expenditure and then look at what an ideal budget would be. And an ideal budget is paying for every bill on time and in full, having some flexible spending, and then, say, incorporating some core spending sinking funds. Now, that is purely a mathematical exercise when we get to this page here. This first sheet, which is my September overview in my workbook, is an overview of what I earn and what I spend. And then this second sheet here is a purely mathematical exercise, which is a what would happen if, what could I do if, what needs to happen there. So that is not anything that I'm committing to, but I thought I would do it as a useful exercise that could then be used to inform my budgets going forward. So I was really nervous last night when I filmed this, and in the light of day I am still a little bit nervous, but I do know why. So my total income for September was £1,926.15. And if you had told me that that was what my income would have been at the start of September, I would have budgeted very differently. However, because my income is broken down into different sources, and it was a non-typical earning month because I was off sick, then it's also a non-typical wage. So let's go through that now. So wage one was £246. This averages normally at £580. However, because I was off sick, there was an element of statutory sick pay and no overtime. So it's normally £580. My wage too was £884, and that is normally £950, and again that was down because I was off sick. This one gets paid on the 27th of the month, and this gets paid on the 14th of the month. This was then the first month that I took on freelancing work. Now, it was discussed that it would average between £300 to £400 a month, depending on the quantities, and this is paid weekly at the delivery of an invoice that I submit. But because I thought I was short of money, I really aggressively went after larger batches and earned £670 a month. So again, that's higher than what I would typically expect to see. Vinted pulled in £80, and whilst I can foresee there being an element of Vinted or second-hand selling in my income going forward, because I have stuff I can definitely get rid of, like Organised October is telling me that much, I don't know what that's going to be and whether it's going to be £80. A gift is completely abnormal, and that is £40. And then the side hustling was things like surveys and stuff, which was £6.15. And I've not really seen much of a return on them going forward either, beyond like the initial like welcome offers. So I don't know, maybe I'm just on the wrong survey sites. I'm on Atapol, and to be honest, I've not been too impressed with them. There's a lot of time for not a lot of money that they seem to be asking for. So I had £1,926.15 come in, and that's a really healthy wage for someone on a solo income. Now, I spent most of the month. Now, bear in mind as well that I have lost my week 1 budgeting sheet. So this is only from the 8th to the 30th of September. So I know that there would have been some money coming in, possibly a first freelancing wage, possibly, and then maybe some other sales as well. But I can only work with what information I definitely have to hand. And when I went back and checked that video, although I have what I'd budgeted for, I don't actually have the roundup because the sheet, there was just not a roundup that week. So I've worked with what I have got, but even then that is potentially not the full information. So yeah, I did have a comment actually, which Carolyn had left me, and I will get to replying this in writing, but I am just going to explain it now because it might be something that you guys, or respond to now because it might be something that you guys have also had a question of. With regards to my rent, in my contract, I'm not allowed to sublet or take on another tenant. Now, if I were to have a friend or a significant other move in with me, they would have to sign their own contract and go through the vetting service, to be included on the tenancy. The second bedroom in this house, although it is technically classed as a second bedroom, it is big enough for, I would say, a toddler's bedroom, but you can just about fit a single bed and a desk in here. Anyone who saw my Instagram stories recently when I was going through the house and sorting it out, and it was the room that I'm filming in now, it is a small room. My neighbour has exactly the same footprint, and her son is just fitting into this bedroom, and he is 11 or 12, so it's not a large enough room for an adult. Obviously, if there was a partner that were to move in with me, that would be slightly different because we would be sharing the main bedroom, but that is not the case. I am happily single with my cat for now, and I don't really want to get into a position where I move a partner in just to save money on rent when there is no partner at all. I have also spent a lot of time living with my parents. I lived with my parents until I was 27. That was not a good thing for any of the adults at all. And you'll never get to obviously question my mum and dad, but we've all agreed that beyond an absolute dire emergency, I wouldn't be moving back in with them for any circumstances whatsoever. It would have to be an absolute dire emergency, and there were no other options. My mum also has care of my elderly grandfather, and he is also going to be relocating to live with them at some point this year, so that is an option which is closed to me. And siblings do not live in the area. The one sibling that has a property does not live in the area, and it is not her house to rent out. So for now, the rent being my largest expense is what it is. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it until June 2024, and we will then review that situation probably January 2024 and look at what's going forward then, if I'm still here, and I hope to be working on my budget with you guys. So that is just a quick summary of the rental situation, for anyone who has either privately wondered or left a comment like Carolyn down below. I just wanted to get that out there because, yeah, it's a lot of money for a single income. And I do acknowledge that. This was cheaper. There was a rent increase this year. And I consented to the rent increase because I had to go through the exercise of, okay, slight story time, guys. Bear with me. So I was paying £750 a month for this house, and that was well below market value for a house of this size in the area. If I were to move 10 minutes away, or even within the same village that I live in now, what I would be paying would I think have then been £750 for a flat, a one-bedroom flat in not a great part of town. And I was able to keep renting out that price for 2 years. In May 2022, so this year, I was served a Section 21 notice because the landlord felt like he needed to sell for his own financial well-being, and he was going to sell his entire portfolio. Now, I'd kept on a really good relationship with my letting agent, who managed the property. I've been a great tenant. My guarantor is proven in that they have paid out, and that makes a huge difference to the confidence that a letting agent had. And they wanted to keep me on their books as a tenant, and were looking at equivalent properties or close to. Now, this was before the rent increase of £850, and I had a very, very stressful week, 2 weeks actually, where I presented as on the verge of homelessness to my local council because I'd been given less than 60 days notice and it was a no-fault eviction. So I had the option of going on the local housing register at that time. I then started to look for places like Rightmove, and like Zoopla and things like that. I looked on Spare Room for places that would do house shares if you had a cat. I looked at completely relocating and changing my jobs. And if I were to stay in the area, which at the time and for now is the best for both my own mental and physical well-being, I've got a really good support system that I've not always had, and my mental health can go really, really up and down, and I've been quite isolated before and moved to an area where I know no one, and I very much live in an area where like the whole family is here. Like great-grandparents when they were alive, grandparents, like we've got really deep roots in this area, so it's not like I could move to other parts of the country and have close family nearby as a support system. So when I was looking at properties on like the rental sites and I was reaching out to letting agents, obviously it had been 2 years since I'd last looked at the rental market, and when I moved it was June 2020, so people were just wanting people to move and rent out their properties. I was encountering the one-bedroom flat scenario, but it was £880 a month. And when my letting agents came back to me with an equivalent-ish property, and the ish is really like loose, it was £900 a month. So in this time there was a lot of stress. The option of completely moving away from the area and moving up north to try and secure cheaper rent without a job in hand, with no money at all put aside for it, so that would have gone on, those costs would have been absorbed by family and by guarantors and things. It became, the landlord then sought legal advice and realised that he didn't need to sell his properties but needed to put the rent up to £850. Now, the house I have looked after it very well. I've put a lot of pride into this house. Because I'm a good tenant, I'm allowed to put things like shelving up. My dad is a really good handyman, so he's done a lot of repairs that he's just said, well, look, don't run it by the letting agent, I'll fix that, it's fine. And the letting agent has been quite happy with that. He met my dad when we went and viewed the property, and my dad asked really good dad questions, which I think created a lot of confidence. But obviously I still needed a guarantor. My credit rating is awful, and up until this year I've been self-employed. So a guarantor is required 9 times out of 10 if you are self-employed, even if you have accounting history, which I had as well. So the stickler was it would be asking my guarantor to commit to another £100 a month. I would then have to find another £100 a month in rent, which has led to things already being cut from my budget. And the guarantor said, well, look, I am prepared to sign, but I'm only prepared to sign if you get a 24-month contract and work that does need to be done on the house that your dad can't do, that the letting agents have been informed of year after year that need to be done now because they're starting to be problematic. I will sign if and when that work is done, and it's a 24-month contract, which was agreed. We got the letting agent to agree it. Everyone was happy. The guarantor signed. My letting agent then went, this is really a story time, guys, so bear with me. The letting agent went off sick with COVID. He made no arrangements for the work to be done at all. The work still hasn't been done. No arrangements have been created. So for now, the guarantor has obviously, they've signed the information. I've signed my contract. They've signed their contract. The guarantor is not delivering the contracts back to my letting agent until the work is done. They've received their rent on time. Shelter, and actually myself, I do advise, like, if you are having any issues with like your letting agent, just pay your rent. But there was work that needed to be done on the house before winter, and we get to really rough weather, and that's not been done. So that is where we are. So I am locked into a contract for 24 months. The letting agent still hasn't carried out the work or booked in the work that needs to be done, and this was very much agreed, and we have that agreement in writing that work on X, Y and Z would be completed before the winter time and the weather kicks in, because long term it would actually cost my landlord far more money to repair. And so that's where we are with that. So I love my house. I really do love my area. It's really important for me as much as I can that I can keep my house and stay in it until I feel like I'm at a point where I can move on rather than being rushed. And as a result of actually the rent going up and the eviction notice being withdrawn, I was then removed from the housing list and moved down to the very bottom band, which means you are waiting for years. So sadly, social housing is not an option for me anytime soon. So after that 7-minute story time, which I hope clarifies a few things, let's just zoom through the rest, because I wanted this to be a shorter video, but this may not be. So my council tax is £165 a month. That includes arrears, so it's on a special arrangement, but those arrears will be cleared by the next financial year in April. My mobile is £850. I have said in quite a few videos that that mobile is on its last legs. It's my personal mobile. The device I'm recorded on now was given to me by the freelancing company. It has no SIM card attached. It's a rather dodgy Chinese model, so it doesn't run basic services, but it's got a really good camera and I can film. So I use it mainly for product photography and filming. It's not really fit as a phone, so to speak. So I will be upgrading. My phone is 4 years old. It's on its very, very last legs. And to be fair, I've kept it on a really low SIM-only contract for as long as I can, but that will be going up. My subscriptions in September were £24.97. I have since got rid of 2 of them and brought that cost down. My fuel was £74.40. Now, I've not been driving into work, and twice a week from next week onwards, I will be doing the commute into the town where I work. That means that I will be able to do food shopping and getting cash out on that day, so saving those journeys, but I will need to incorporate wage one's commute into my fuel, so fuel will be going up. Food, I need to change how I'm budgeting food. I'll talk about that in the page over leaf, but that was far more than I thought I'd spent. And then preps was £84.95 as well, and that was very much a panic one-off thing, but I think I might need to incorporate them into my food budget going forward. Coffee was £22.95. That was less than I thought, actually. There was a period in my life where I feel like I was always going out for coffee and seemed to be spending a lot. Now, obviously, I wasn't tracking or anything, so I don't know if that's true, but it's just a feeling I had. But that's less than I thought. The cat was £34.46. Now, One of those weeks I only spent £2 and another week I spent £15. So whilst I feel like £10 a week is reasonable for him because he is so fussy about his brand, he has a specific sub-brand of Sheba, and anytime I can't get it in bulk, there's very few places near me that sell it, so I'm a little bit stuck with Wilko's. And anytime I've tried to move him onto a cheap brand, he has refused to eat for 4 days, and I've had to take him to the vets because he's gotten dehydrated. So he is a fussy cat. He's also lovely. Like, he's happily made me a crazy cat lady, but there are times when I do wish he would just eat like the cheaper Aldi own, but he just will not do it. Household is 21. I estimated that I would spend about 20, and I only did this in 1 week, so I do wonder whether it's worth trying to nominally put aside like £5 a week rather than taking that hit all in one go. We will see. Spendy was 102.22. Now, if I were to do this and pretend that the rest of these didn't exist, which I do hope you can see and the sun's not in the way, that's actually quite reasonable over a 5-week month. No, we'll go 4 weeks because I am missing a week. However, I did all of this. And in theory, these really need to just come into Spendy and be that, if that makes sense, not extra. Now, the hair, I will give myself grace on because I have like 2 haircuts a year. And I won't have another one now until literally 2023, and it was a tenner, and to be fair, my dad gave me the money for that. So the haircut is fine, and the rewards was like a collection of my 50p's, so, and there's also a real rarity. However, please stop creating things, guys. I need to put myself in a Happy Mail ban. Just stop creating things on Etsy. Just stop. Please, for the sake of my budget. Just don't do it. Please stop. Don't stop. I want all of the things. But on a serious note, I do need to put myself in a Happy Mail ban or a Happy Mail embargo. I don't really have the money for it, and I think I just got very caught up in FOMO, basically, and seeing all the things and wanting all the things. The house is £67.04. I try and do something for the house every September or so and get it ready for winter, but it shouldn't really have been a priority of my spending, and I can look back on that now. Clothing is £35.93. That's okay. Like most people, like, my weight's gone up and down since the pandemic. I've got things and I do wear clothes to death. Like, the industry I've come from and really does make me, like, I repair my clothes to the point where they can't be repaired anymore. I buy secondhand a lot of the time. I do work for a relatively high-end, Wage One is a relatively high-end fashion brand, so we do get a good discount. So, when that discount is there, that's when I'll get things like, a winter boots or a pair or a handbag, but that is an oddity. I certainly don't spend my entire discount allowance and actually give it out to quite a lot of people. And I have always enjoyed charity shops. I costumed my very first film on a charity shop spend of £100, and not only did that win me a very, very, very minor industry award, but I love it. I love the rummaging. I love the surprise of it. It makes the slightly manic part of my brain really, really excited about the different options that I can find. I like finding brands and quality for, and just sitting there thinking like, this is such great value. So I love charity shopping. If you were to take my sister and I to a city, we would find the charity shops before we would find the branding shops. So I just love them. And sorry guys, there was a bit of a strange noise there. I thought it was the cat, but it's not. It might be the postman. So that's that. And obviously Christmas is an oddity now, or an exception, I would say, £22.50. Now, I did explain in that video that whilst I don't class myself as done, if I have to be done, there is something for everyone that I would give a Christmas present to. So that is the main thing. So my total, there we are, let's go back to it. My total overall spending was £1,807, I think, and 22p. I have lost receipts because I don't have the remaining amounts, the £110 something there. So I've lost receipts somewhere as well. So that is something that I need to bear in mind, is to keep hold of my receipts or track them as soon as I get in, rather than just leaving them in a pile and then they getting scooped up with rubbish or things like that. So that is where we are for my September overview. There are some things that have surprised me, particularly with regards to my income. There are some things where I've been pleasantly surprised because I've spent less. There have been some things where I'm annoyed because it's been more, and some things where it's like, okay, you really just shouldn't have. So I think what we should do now, this is going to run slightly longer, guys. So I don't want to part to it just because the second section shouldn't take too long. And also I've got the Australian cousins around for the next 4 days. So I'm not going to get a chance to film any more videos because they are full 4-pack days. Where even if they're only over at my mum's house and we're not going anywhere, I am going to have to show my face. And I've also got freelancing work to do as well. That coffee is very lukewarm now and not great. So what I thought I would do, because I have been a little bit up and down this week, that's partly down to a change of mental health medication, which is just making me go a little bit live wiry while it settles, and also just being far too restrictive this week. So what I've done is plotted out a best worst-ish case scenario-ish. Lots of ishes. What I've done is written down everything that if I were to be able to afford to pay it all, that would need to be paid in a month, that is absolutely fixed, and I'm including food, fuel and cat in there because I need to feed myself, the cat and get to work as a standard month. I've then identified what things regularly appeared or would appear if I were to break it down weekly on my budget as a flexible spending category. And then I have looked at things like annual spending sinking funds that you would need to incorporate in an ideal world. This is not anything that I'm committing to doing. This is purely a mathematical exercise as part of Organised October to hopefully help inform my budgets going forward. So let's get to it. So my rent is $850. I've already explained about that. That comes out on the 17th. And my council tax is due on the 26th. However, you can't do a same day payment with the payment system that my local council have set up. So it has to clear in for the 26th. So that needs to be paid by the 22nd at the latest. My BT, good news on my BT. I'll give you these guys this update now. I rang them yesterday and spoke to them because I'd had the official termination of service letter come through, which I expected might happen because the breathing space had cancelled. So I rang and spoke to them and explained the situation. They have reactivated the service for a 12-day period to allow me to bring the account up to date. They've removed a late charge from this month. There was a flexible option which I thought would be fixed on. It wasn't, and that was an additional £7 a month that I've not used at all. So they've removed that from bills going forward. So if I pay £110 today, which I will do after I get off this video, I then have until the 17th of the month to pay the remaining amount of £36.73, and that completely brings the account up to date, including this month's bill. So they were absolutely fantastic speaking to them. It's one of those things where it's like, I wish I'd spoken to them earlier. But that bill going forward will be £29, and that's from the 5th. The mobile, I will be having to upgrade onto a phone with a plan. I can't afford to buy one outright this time round. However, the maximum I want to pay is £25 a month on a contract. I don't go for an all singing, all dancing new high-end phone. It just needs to be able to do more basic functions than mine is currently doing. And that is on the 8th. Now, with water and energy, currently I'm not paying anything at all towards these guys. Anything at all. The arrears are growing on them. When I last spoke to them, they gave me their recommended amount. Now, obviously, their recommended amount is designed to prioritise both paying off the bills and then covering any eventual usage as well. Not whether that recommended amount is truly affordable for you, and I had that conversation with them at the time because I was under advice from Step Change. So my water company would like me to pay £75 a month, and my energy company would like me to pay £225 a month. Now, full disclosure, guys, this will not be happening because I know hands down that I cannot afford to do that. However, based on the fact that my income was higher than expected last month, and I do then have the earning potential to bring in something similar or just slightly less, it's worth me exploring very quickly paying off the smaller amount, which is the water company, continue not paying anything on that for a period of 2 months, getting those cleared, setting up smaller monthly payments, which is actually reflective of my usage, because my bill should only be about £20 a month with them. And then, start aggressively chunking down the energy. This is just very much a working theory at the minute. Now that I'm going to class myself as current on BT, because I am most of the way there. Now that I'm current on BT, I can then start looking at water and energy, but I will not be paying £300 a month. I just can't do that. My car insurance is £70. That normally comes out on the 29th. It is due for renewal. So at some point this month, I've got to pay that because the renewal offer is far too excessive. That is higher because I have a lot of insurance cancellations and I was honest and declared that. So I am paying both figuratively and literally for that. My car insurance could be probably like £30 a month, but it's not. My pet insurance is £15.61. That is due Christmas time, and I can look to see if I can get that down, but I am at the minute quite happy with the coverage. The excess is only £60 as well, which is quite reasonable. The pet plan, which covers things like his prescriptions and his vaccinations and things, is £10 a month, so I'm happy with that. That's staying. My car tax is the one thing that I do pay annually, and that's not due until April. However, if I were to pay for it monthly or start saving for it monthly, it would be £12.50 a month. The 2 subs that I'm keeping on is Now TV, which is £1 a month, and YouTube Premium, which is £11.99. I have cancelled Amazon Prime and I have cancelled Spotify, and I'm on my dad's account for Disney Plus and Netflix, so I don't need to pay for those. So for now, I am keeping on those subs. I feel like that's quite reasonable. However, obviously, if it were a really dire situation, I would have to cut the budget back to bare bones. I would get rid of that, and I would also get rid of saving monthly for car tax. I've incorporated food, fuel, and cat as a weekly payment. Now, I know that some months are 5 and 4 months, but we're working on the assumption that this is a 4-week month. Do excuse me, I just need to cough. I think that what I would used to be doing with regards to my food is that I would be getting paid wage 1 and wage 2, and then feeling like I needed to do a significantly larger food shop, which you would have seen in my budgeting. And therefore that puts an awful lot of pressure on my budget for those weeks. But then the weeks after, so week 1 and week 3, because I get paid in week 2 and week 4. In week 1 and week 3, I'm then trying to under budget and not leave myself any grace at all. And then I was going over budget or so far under budget because I'd done such a big food shop the week before that it wasn't balanced at all. So if I need to, I think I need to try and incorporate the same amount weekly, so that, and then actually I can get a true reflection of really what my food bills are and what they should be. And that is £50 per week. However, what I'm going to do is incorporate £10 of that per week on preps, so that is covered. And then if I feel like I need to spend more, there is room for that. Or if I feel like I need to spend more on food because I'm doing a lot more batch cooking, or I need to replace a lot of dry cupboard ingredients, for example, that is there. And then that also stops me from doing a massive prep food blowout each week or each month. Fuel, this is very much a guesstimate. I'm going to estimate £30 per week, and that should cover my commute to work now, as well as any limited social trips that I'm doing. And then the cat is £10 a week as well, so I need to incorporate that. So if this were all to be paid as an absolute bare bones essential budget, I would need £1,850 and 10 pence minimum per month to bring in, which feels quite difficult as a set amount, and that's why I'm not committing to the £300 a month at this point. The flexible categories are £30 a week for spending, but that would incorporate things like spending on clothes or rewards or anything like that. Coffee, which is £10 a week, that is my one social activity that I allow myself a month. So I very rarely do eating out or days outs or things like that. So coffee I feel like is £10 a week, and that allows me a couple of trips if I so desire. And then household, I may not obviously spend the £5 a week, but it would be good maybe to just tuck £5 a week in an envelope and then have that there as and when I need things. And household covers things like toiletries, loo roll, cleaning products and stuff like that. So that would be an extra £180 a month that I would need to find, bringing that overall total up to £2,030 and 10 pence. So again, this is something that I could immediately cut if needed from my budget if things were really, really dire. So between that one and the £12.99 and the £12.50, I know that I can shave £200 a month off my budget if this was incorporated. But that's why it's under flexible. And then if I then go to the annual, things that come up year on year, Christmas, my budget is typically £200 all in. Birthdays, family birthdays, you know, the collections at work, things like that, £150 a year. The house, I tend to do 2 times a year. I go through in spring and then I go through at the beginning of autumn and look for anything that needs changing, because when you are in a rented house, there's very little that you can do. I am fortunate because I've been a tenant for such a long time with this landlord that he's happy for me to put up shelving and things like that. And I can also paint walls, say, a white rather than magnolia. And if you have always spent a lifetime in rental properties, you will hate magnolia as much as I do. But that is typically averages around £400. And then my birthday is anywhere from £50 where I just eat 5 different types of cake because I'm in lockdown, to £450 where I go away for a couple of days with my mum. So this is very much just a theoretical exercise, breaking down what I would need to find a month on average. And that's an extra £83.50, and that would bring my overall total to £2,113.60. So this is why I wanted to do this exercise, because it means that not only do I get to see what my earning potential is, because I think I'm very much fixed in the mindset that because I'm minimum wage, I don't have the ability to earn anymore. And actually, as a freelancer, although my income was really spotty, I could earn 5 figures one month, but then nothing else for the next 3. And that is realistic. And happened, and it took a lot more budgeting now than I had. So this video is going to run to, I think, about 40 minutes, so I do apologise, guys, for that one. I really probably should have broken it down into a 2-parter, but hey, maybe you can stick this on while you're cleaning or something. So I'll try and round it up here. This is not a commitment to what I'm doing with my budget at all. However, what it gives me is more information and more clarity going forward when I do the rest of my October budgets, because I'd already noticed some horrible habits starting to creep in this week, which I want to nip in the bud now and it not impact what I want to do in October, because I have a plan and I'm happy with that plan. I just need to, I think, build up my tools more to stick to it, and this is where that happens. So yeah, as I said, this is very much a theoretical exercise that I wanted to do as part of Organised October. If you are taking part in Organised October, or you want to look at it, head over over to Instagram and check it out. I will link everything down below. And if you've got any comments or reflections or anything like that, please do feel free to comment down below and let me know your thoughts. I will get to your comments. I am in the process of getting to them now. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. I know I definitely have, and it's been an eye-opener for sure, both on this page and on this page as well. And yeah, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you so much if you have subscribed. It really does mean a lot, and I will continue to say that because I am perpetually surprised that anyone is interested in what I have to say or what I'm doing. But now I'm going to love you and leave you before we hit 40 minutes, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.